Welcome to today's workshop. Today's workshop is about boosting testosterone and your metabolism through what would be considered as woohoo rituals. I'm going to show you how to powerfully shift your motivation and drive in the right direction so that you have the ability to do the things that you know you should be doing. Because let's face it, if you're waking up tired and not refreshed, fatigued from the day before, and this happens over a period of time, you're not going to reach for the foods that you know you should eat to produce energy. You're not going to reach for the barbell and the dumbbell or go for that run. Before we dive in, I want to highlight the miracle of our body, and that is it has the ability to super compensate for the stress in our lives. Now, if that stress comes in the adequate dose or the right dose, your body will super compensate and get better every single day. Conversely, if you have too much stress or the wrong types of stress or not an adequate amount of recovery, you will go into involution and you'll wake up feeling worse and worse. Have a think about this. What would it mean to you and your family, the people around you, if you actually got into a rhythm where day on day you got better and better? How would you turn up in life? How would the people experience you differently to they're currently experiencing you? These are all the reasons for paying attention over the next few slides. And despite initial resistance, maybe adopting some of the woohoo rituals that we talk about today. Before we dive into, all the woohoo rituals like breath work and meditation and ice baths and all of that stuff, there's no point doing that stuff if you don't know why you're doing it. So if you look on social media right now, it's all the rage. Okay, these woohoo rituals are everywhere, and you have your proponents for it and you have your people who are against it. Some people say, look, you don't need to do that. You just need a calorie deficit. You need to eat less, move more, and your health will be sorted. And then others swear by it. I'm going to show you the underlying mechanisms behind why that stuff will work and why it may not work as well. So here we have a circadian rhythm. This is the rhythm that we've evolved on for the last 100,000 years. It's only been the last 150 years where it's changed slightly with the introduction of electronics and even most recently the introduction of smartphones. We now walk around with mini suns in our hands that do more than just provide light. They also provide mini dopamine hits. Now, we're not going to go into dopamine in today's workshop, but I'm going to mention it because it's important. When there's too much dopamine flooding your system alongside cortisol, you have this traffic jam effect where when all the receptors inside of your nervous system have binded to these hormones, there's no space or room left for any more binding, and it's at that binding point where you get that feel good hit. So often when the system's flooded, it will drive this ravenous hunger for dopamine hits, and that spins out that fatigue cycle and can have effects on sex hormone, on metabolism function, etc. So if I haven't made it clear, this is really important. This circadian rhythm is really important. In fact, all of my coaching hinges on this first big domino. If I can get people as close to this circadian rhythm as possible, magic starts to happen in their life without them even trying. So in this normal circadian rhythm, as you can see, the sun rises, and when the sun rises, your body's preparing for stress. It's a signal to the body that, okay, I need to get up, I need to go hunt, I need to go produce, I might need to fight. Blood flow needs to be in my extremities. It needs to be away from my digestive system. It needs to be prepared and primed, ready to go. At the same time, insulin increases because all of the food that you've digested, over the last few hours needs to be delivered to your cells, and you're probably going to need some fuel throughout the day as well. Despite the blood being away from the digestive system, you do digest it throughout the day, and you need a steady flow of nutrients to your cells to be energetic, be productive, and do human things. And this is where you get an increase in insulin and ghrelin, and most would see this as a bad thing, being hungry, too hungry all the time. Most would see it as a good thing is if you can skip something like breakfast. But to me, when I'm talking to a client and someone says to me that they're not hungry in the morning, it's a clear sign that their metabolism's shot. Typically, when I talk to them for long enough, they'll tell me that they have severe binging habits at night time. They just can't satisfy their hunger. So, as you can see, cortisol rises, other hormones start to drop away. Those hormones are namely the hormones that rise during rest and repair at night, vice versa. So as the sun goes down, melatonin, growth hormone, and prolactin increases. Cortisol, insulin, ghrelin, they drop away. Cortisol mainly. Cortisol cannot rise in the presence of melatonin, vice versa. Melatonin cannot rise in the presence of cortisol. Most people spend their days inside of this shifted circadian rhythm where cortisol is chronically high. It doesn't rise, it doesn't fall, you get little tiny peaks, maybe some troughs here and there, but you don't get that big bang of energy to say, hey, I'm prepared and I'm ready for the day. Melatonin doesn't rise because cortisol is staying chronically high. And you get this effect where you have a coffee, you get a little bit of a hit, then you have a big crash, or you might not have a coffee at all. You might just go through the day and hit 2 p.m. and you're just smashed. And then when you get to the end of the night, it's like, man, I can't sleep. I could have slept 4 hours ago, but I can't sleep right now. What's going on with me? Inside of this circadian rhythm, sex hormone is completely shot. Testosterone's low. Insulin and how it works inside your body is impaired, so your body's not delivering nutrients in the way that it should. You've got a whole host of different issues that all center around this. So how do we fix this? Well, we fix this, and I fix this in particular with a very simple ritual. I call it a ritual because it's something you need to do every day and become religious about. If you think about brushing your teeth, if you like to kiss your wife, you'd probably be religious about brushing your teeth. Now, if you like to turn up as a present, calm, confident man, you need to become religious about what you do and how you protect your evenings. Because in the evening, the most important hours are the hours of repair, physical and psychological. From 12 till 3, your body will engage in repair tasks to physically repair the damage done throughout the day. That's muscles, okay? That's skin, that's hair, that's nails, that's anything physical. And then psychologically, your body will go into repair around 3 to 6 a.m. Now, if you're going to sleep too late, you haven't actually wound down properly in those golden hours, you will miss out on some of this repair. Most people with weight issues, whether that be underweight, overweight, under-muscled, over-fat, they typically have poor sleeping patterns around this time of night, the 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. People with really severe mental health issues are really struggling with that sleep 3 till 6. Now, these golden hours, the more sleep you can get in those golden hours, the more you're going to be prepared for this physical repair. Now, don't worry, I know what you're probably thinking. I'm a shift worker, or I have a baby that wakes me up, or insert other reason for not getting good quality long blocks of sleep. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But just understand this concept here. How can we control these golden hours? Well, certain activities are going to help to reduce cortisol in the body. Other activities will increase cortisol. Foods you can eat before bed can either increase or decrease cortisol, so on and so forth. So we need to be really intentional about what we do and what we eat and the environment that we're in around that repair time. So here are some recommendations, and on the next few slides, we're going to actually build out your own repair ritual. 3 hours before bed, that's when you need to start winding down for the day. And you can kind of see in that list of tasks there, you've got things like completing chores. So you want to just finish off your day, plan for the next day, get the shit out of your head that you're thinking about business or about career or about, sports or whatever you follow or what keeps you up at night. Get it on to paper and get it out of your brain. Reduce that blue light. Eat a repair meal. Yes, eat after 6 p.m. That's bullshit that you can't eat past 6 p.m. And yes, eat carbs before bed. The right types of carbs. Don't go and have a donut before bed. You're probably going to be up and full of energy. But if you're eating low energy carbohydrates like fruits and berries and vegetables, you're going to give your body the nutrients that it needs to repair. Combine that with something high in protein, like protein sludge. I love this. I make this beautiful protein sludge with berries and chia seeds and flax seeds, and I have it with my wife every night, and it's the replacement of what I otherwise probably would have if I was a fatty still, and that would be like some ice cream from the freezer, right? So it's all about finding replacements for what you normally do. Calming sense, turning down the lights, completing chores, reducing blue light. That's the big one. If you can reduce the blue light before bed, you're going to signal to your brain that it's time to relax. It's time to wind down. And people are like completely surprised by this when they do this for the first time, and then they wake up the next day and they actually feel refreshed. They don't feel like their eyes were just bouncing around in their eye sockets all night. 1 hour before bed, we're definitely eliminating that blue light. We're reading a book or having a conversation, doing some coloring in, meditation, breath work, having a conversation, doing the dirty with your wife. Like that's something that you can use in the next conversation is, these are the things that you need to be doing to regulate, to prepare for repair. Bedtime, block out curtains, weights a blanket, memory foam pillow, standby lights off. There's a lot on this list, and it's not about doing them all, it's about just doing one of them for each of these time blocks. This window follows you. So let's say you're a shift worker and you just can't get to bed at 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. and you're getting home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Well, you're better off, instead of just going straight head to pillow, spending at least half an hour doing some of these things here, specifically those 1 hour before bedtime activities. So that's how you think about here. Now, before we move on to creating your repair ritual, this is Dane's weight chart. Dane is a fella, he works out in the central west of New South Wales, and he came to me and he needed to improve his blood work. He had some cholesterol issues. He had some other issues that he needed to work on. So he engaged with me in some coaching. And after about 4 weeks, we kind of started to create some momentum, but he got stuck. He got stuck about that 6 week mark. And at that 6 week mark, he lost a bit of work from memory. And he started just, losing his shit, which a lot of us guys would lose their shit in that situation. I gave him some breath work to do, and the rest is history. You can see he started that breath work where that red arrow is. He started regulating himself. He started to perform better with his business, and his body weight came down as well. So this stuff is powerful. Even though Yes, it might not be the actual trigger to losing weight, like a calorie deficit or some exercise, but this breath work allows you to do the thing that you need to do in those stressful periods. And if I know anything, after 16 years of working with men and women on body composition and body recomposition, stress and what you do during stressful times is the main thing that counts. If you can change that, the way you react to stress and triggers, you'll completely change your lifestyle, your life in general. So, repair ritual. Pick one thing to focus on this week. 3 hours before bed, you might eat a repair meal. 1 hour before bed, you might eliminate blue light altogether. And at bedtime, you might make sure that there's no lights in your room and you've got blockout curtains blocking out all of the light. Okay. Yes, there are other things that you can do. This is not a complete list of things to do, but there is power in implementing something that is structured in a ritual and testing and measuring, engaging in that testing and measuring. Now, what you should be tracking is energy levels in the morning. So if you're waking up as a 6 after implementing this, and then the next day you're waking up as a 7 after implementing this, you know you're on the right track. If you wake up the next day and you're still a 3 and nothing's changed, well, you'll know you need to change something. Cool. So shift workers, the window follows you wherever you're going to sleep. 3 a.m., you've got a window of an hour to wind down. 6 a.m., you've got a window of an hour to wind down. If you've got a young baby that doesn't sleep and you're waking up 2-3 times a night, well, 2-3 times a night, you need to be winding back down. And God forbid, do not jump on your phone while you're up with the baby, okay, or while you're up with the kids. Don't use the phone to get them back to sleep either. It's a recipe for disaster for everyone in the house. If you've got a medically diagnosed sleep problem, I would say that your lifestyle's caused it. Your lifestyle has a much larger impact on how you sleep than your genetics does. And if you've always been a crappy sleeper, you've probably had poor habits your whole life. So you just think about how long you've had those poor habits for. It's probably going to take around 10% of the time that you've had them for to actually really get over it. So if you've had it for the last 20 years, well, you might need to spend 2 years being consistent with habits, not seeing much improvement, only marginal improvement, finding a process that you actually enjoy, and then waiting for that result to come. That's just the harsh reality of life. Is if you've been doing something for 20 years, you can't expect a quick fix. And that's it. That's the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out any which way that you've contacted me in the past. And if you want me to have a look at your repair ritual, send it through. I'll have a look at it. Send me through the data of your energy levels that you've had over the last 7 days of implementation. Don't just give me a repair ritual and say, hey, what do you think? Because I won't think anything unless I see that, okay, sleep quality was a 5 out of 10 on Monday, a 7 out of 10 on Wednesday, a 9 out of 10 on Friday. I'm going to say, well, that's good. Continue that. So if you kind of want that sounding board to go back and forth over this stuff with, I'm more than happy to help you out.